What is your experience working with other cultures? Have you been watching the streams and episodes from the other weeks? For 4 weeks, I've been talking about the cultural dimensions from Geert Hofstede. And in the first week, I've been talking about why it is so important to be aware of cultural differences, not in order to make them a big issue, but in order to really support an understanding in international teams. Today, I want to talk about some further aspects. There is a lot of studies as to those intercultural differences or as to special cultural behaviors. And yes, in my opinion, it's good to read something about a culture you want to visit. At the same time, my experience is that it doesn't make too much sense to really stick on every do and don't like in a recipe. We humans are all different, and it's possible that you find some German person who is more like somebody of another culture. So, in my opinion, it can be, let's say, a guideline, or it can give me an idea what I might expect in another culture without being too strict with what I've learned. So one difference is how to regard time. So for some cultures, time is restricted. Each day we have 24 hours, and after one day, after these 24 hours have expired, they are gone. They are not going to come back. So this has ended. There are other cultures for which one day is, just some time, and it's not gone. The next day there are 24 new hours. And so it doesn't matter if I can't finish something today, I just postpone it to tomorrow. So it doesn't matter. It's not a difficulty. And I know that especially in international projects, this can be the cause for some misunderstanding. And the same it is with what is called internal control. This means that for some cultures, and I would say that it's something that is valid for Germany, if I set an appointment for one Tuesday in 3 months, then with this internalized control, the other person can be sure that I'll show up exactly on this date. And if I won't be able to show up, then I'll send a message. For other cultures, if we fix an appointment in 3 months' time or even in 2 weeks' time, it's, let's say, we have a common idea, we might meet. And I remember that sometimes I had been disappointed because I showed up and the other person, he or she hadn't sent a note, he or she hadn't turned up, and I was standing or sitting at the place or at my computer, and the person didn't show up. I know that this can also be the cause to be angry with the other person, to be disappointed. It's so important to know that for some cultures, that's really just this idea, and that if I want to make sure that we are going to meet, that I should ask sometime before. For some cultures, it's okay to send a reminder maybe 1 week before. For others, it's important to ask 1 hour before. And as I am socialized, for me, it's sometimes kind of strange if somebody sends me a message 1 week before our appointment, another reminder 1 day before and 1 hour before. And I think, so what is he or she talking about? We have fixed this appointment, and for me, it's fixed, which means I'll show up, I'll be there. And then to also be patient and think, okay, so it's better that I receive the reminder. It's not that the person thinks that I'm not reliable. It's just how this person thinks that it is better to send a reminder than not to do. The third thing I would like to emphasize today is what is called low context and high context. There are cultures in which it is really important to have a look at the gestures because they have a meaning on itself. In a culture with low context, the word that is spoken, that's the important thing. It's not about the gestures. Sometimes when people hear or see me talking Italian, they tell me that when I'm talking Italian, that my gesture is much richer than when I'm talking German. Yeah, and so with these gestures, sometimes things are expressed that are not expressed with words. And as to gestures, this could be a chapter for itself. So far, I haven't decided whether to do one on gestures as well. I just give you an example. What does this mean in your culture? I will be happy to receive an answer to this, or in the comments, or maybe you would like to send me an email what it means, and yes, I'll let you know what this gesture can mean in different cultures. And so sometimes those gestures can also lead to misunderstandings. So it's good to be aware that it might cause a difficulty. And even though if you've used such a gesture, then it's always important to talk about this and to let the other person know that I didn't want to offend him or her. And the gesture that I made, it can be quite offensive to some people of some cultures. So if you belong to a culture for which this gesture was offensive, please regard it as an example. I didn't want to offend anybody. And therefore, it's a good idea to study some literature before going abroad. And at the same time, it's not to stick too much on these, let's say, advice. The most important thing is to be open and to really have a communication from heart to heart, and to regard the other person as somebody from whom I can learn. Yeah, there are some things like eye contact. For some cultures, it's really regarded as impolite to stare into somebody other's eyes. And so if you realize that a person doesn't look at you, then it doesn't have to do so much with you. It's possible that it's just typical for this culture. And for me, it's always very good to kind of have some antenna to what is done in a culture and whatnot. I would like to finish all these episodes on intercultural communication and behavior with a picture. It's one of my favorite pictures. And yeah, in my opinion, it's so nice. Those two gentlemen, they have studied what they should do when they meet each other. And I also love it because it really shows that each of them, they wanted to be polite to the other one. So in case that you would like to know some more about this topic, you can always send me a message. You can ask me. You can also book a free strategic call with maybe a question as to a certain behavior. You can also let me know which aspects you would like me to talk about in this stream. And I've already some ideas about the next streams. Maybe you also have some wishes. Only for your information, in Germany next week, and this is for the listeners that listen to my stream every week, it's a holiday. And those who already know me know that for me, a holiday, bank holiday, or a Sunday is always time to relax, time to go to nature, to get other ideas. And so the next stream will be within 2 weeks' time. I wish you a great time. Let me know what I can do for you. I'll love to hear from you, or in the comments, or via mail, or via a call. Have a great time. Thank